There are editors worse than you making more money. And this video is going to change that because it's not some sexy AI tool just made to view whore, but it is the skills, the traits, and the attributes of the editors that I've seen make the most money. My name's Sayeef. I've edited for some of the largest YouTubers in the world, and I've coached over 300 editors to go full time and scale past 5 to 10K months. Trait number one is they have positive money beliefs. There was an editor who recently bought one of my programs, so he paid me money to get help with outreaching. He was telling me that, hey, I've started doing it, but the results might not be as good as you expect. And I'm wondering why, because we literally have a data-driven approach, which means we know it works by the end of doing it. And he told me that he wasn't actually following up on the cadence that we tell him to do. We recommend the first follow-up being after a day, and every follow-up after that being every 2 days. He mentioned he's not following it, and when I asked why, it was because he didn't want to pester them. And in my head, I'm thinking, wait, you told me all your goals. You told me you want to hit, his goal was 8K a month, but you're worried about pestering people? And he's like, yeah, dude, I've always been sort of someone who doesn't want to annoy people. It's how I grew up. And in my head, I'm thinking, why do you see following up as a negative thing? And I gave him the example of this. Let's say your mum has a hospital treatment and you told her, hey mum, call me at 5 p.m. because that's when you were expecting the surgery to finish, and she doesn't call you at 5 p.m. What are you going to do? Are you just going to say, oh, well, I guess she didn't reach back out to me. I'm just not going to respond back. I don't want to pester her. No, you would call her back, and if she doesn't pick up, you'd call her again, and you call until she picks up because you genuinely believe the best thing for her is for you to call. The only reason outreach or following up would feel like pestering is because you feel like the interaction is only a take and not a give. When people have negative money beliefs where they see that making money is a bad thing, of course you're not going to outreach. Of course you're not going to want to try your best with clients. Of course you're not going to want to follow up because you see you making money from them as you're taking. And no one wants to be a taker, right? But instead, if you flip that belief on its head, and what you realize the best editors who make the most money have this belief is, they genuinely see making money from a client as a beautiful and an amazing thing. In fact, right now, I charge between like 1,000, 2,500-ish per video. I see that as I am basically doing God's work for this client. Because if he doesn't pay me, by the way, I apologize about the sound. I'm in like a Airbnb. I'm traveling in Morocco right now. So it's a bit of a, I didn't expect it to be construction, but nonetheless. Whenever I see I'm charging a client like any amount, the way I see it is, hey, yes, you're giving me money, but what you're getting in return is you now no longer have to worry about the video because you know I'll get it done correctly. You've seen all my work and all my social proof, so you can trust that it'll get done properly, not just like, I have good work, but for you, I'm going to make it ass. Like, you can trust that I have a track record. You also know that I can communicate because otherwise I wouldn't have worked with all of these bigger clients. So by you working with me and not someone else, yes, you spend a few thousand extra, but you'll make 4 more videos in the month, meaning you'll make X amount more. So all of this stress I'm taking off, I actually see it as a moral duty for me to follow up, because the way I see it, if I don't work with this guy, he's going to have to work with some other editor who doesn't care about the client, who is going to miss the deadline, who isn't going to communicate. So how do you raise your prices and also genuinely believe it's worth it to the point where you feel like you're doing a service to this person by charging your rate? It's by redefining how money is made. A lot of people think like, hey, money is evil. And you've probably seen stupid people saying things like, oh, eat the rich, billions are bad people. Or, oh, that person, you've probably seen like friends or family, you've maybe even saying this, like, oh, this person makes money, he's probably a drug dealer, or like he's probably done bad things in his life. If you think like that, of course you're going to find it hard to make money. You can't hate the thing that you want. But instead, if you see money as it's just a transfer of value, value is created when pain is alleviated. For example, I don't have oranges. I crave oranges, therefore I'm in pain because I don't have the thing I want. When you give me oranges, you've satiated that craving, you've removed that pain, therefore value has been created. If your back is hurting and a chiropractor fixes that, he's literally fixed pain, and that was valuable to you, which is why you would pay the chiropractor. So money is made when value is created when pain is alleviated, removed. But when is pain removed? When problems are solved. You had the back problem, the chiropractor solved it, that was pain removed and value created, money was sent to him. So problems are solved that alleviates pain, that is value created, and that's why people exchange money. So however much money you're making, it doesn't mean you're a good or a bad person. All it means is it's a counter saying how many problems have you solved for the world. So the way I see it is there's all of these problems that I'm solving for a creator. You aren't able to go out with your girlfriend because every single time you are posting a video, you're editing it yourself, or you're having to manage some crappy editor who's keeping you up at night because he barely responds to you. I'm solving these problems, and therefore there's pain alleviated, therefore value created, therefore I'm getting paid. And the real reason why it's so important to have these money beliefs is because if you have negative money beliefs, you end up saying these stupid phrases like other people. Oh, I don't actually want to make that much. It's not about the money for me. If it's not about the money, decide to just keep it as a hobby. Don't tell yourself you have the goal of making XYZ amount per month and then also say it's not about the money. Because those two things contradict. It can be about the money and you can also enjoy it. Those two things can exist at the same time. But when you say these sayings like, I don't really care about the money, or, oh, I don't want to overcharge people. The fact that you see it as a negative thing and not as, oh, I'm just solving more problems for the world, that's when you struggle to raise prices. That's when you have the fear of rejection. That's when you feel like there's this weird blocker to you working, like you keep procrastinating towards the work because subconsciously you're not letting yourself do what it takes to actually hit that goal because you'd see yourself as a bad person. The same thing with outreach. If you have someone outreaching to you and you see that as, oh, that's kind of cringe, or I could never, or, oh, that's so needy. When you go and need to outreach for your career, what thoughts are subconsciously going to come into your mind? Oh, I don't want to do this because I don't want to be needy. I don't want to do this because I don't want to beg it. When I see someone outreach to me, even if I'm not interested in the service, all I'm thinking is, you know what? Fucking respect. This guy's trying to grow his business. More power to him. Hopefully his dream client actually reaches out back to him. But the thing is, if I see him outreaching as negative, when I need to go set up an outreach system, I'm going to have all these negative beliefs about it as well. Same thing with, let's say, just being a good customer. Whenever I go to a cafe, whenever I go to a hotel or an Airbnb like I'm staying in here now, I want to be the best customer possible. Why? Because shitty people tend to attract shitty people. If I'm the type of person who always haggles down, where it's like, I hear a price of something, I genuinely think it's worth it, and I'm like, oh, could you do it for less? Or, oh, that's so expensive, if I genuinely want to do it. When I have my customers, obviously I'm going to have the thoughts that like, oh, he's just going to want to haggle me down. And in a weird way, when you think someone's going to haggle you down, they actually end up haggling you down. But if I'm the type of person where I go to cafes and, hey, I'll just pay whatever the bill is, I'm going to tip. Whenever someone's just like in like a service, or I'm going to say, please, thank you, do the best I can to actually make their life easier. What you'll find is, in a weird way, your clients end up doing the same thing to you. It's always the guys who have like these scarcity mindsets around money, where they spend like cheapskates, they end up attracting cheapskate clients. And now this isn't me saying like, oh, if you don't have money, you're a cheapskate. All I'm saying is, if you act like one, you're going to attract them because that's all you know. So in a weird way, what I had to do, because by the way, like this isn't me being like some fucking rich guy. I came from a poor family. The reason I was able to get out of that mindset was by actively taking these actions. Like, hey, when something is worth it and I have the money, I'm just going to pay it without fucking complaining. I'm going to tip. Even there was a time where I nearly went broke. This is like 3 years ago. I nearly went broke. It was like my last couple $100. I still tipped the taxi driver. The reason being, in my head, if I didn't tip because I felt like I was going broke, that's me basically waving the white flag and forfeiting. By me tipping it, it was only like $10. The trip was $5, I tipped $10. Because in my head, it's like, if I allow myself not to tip, even though I want to, that's me forfeiting and saying like, hey, no more money is basically going to come in. It puts me into defense. I still tipped. I literally recovered within like a week. We made like 3,000 in that 1 week. So by acting like your dream client and by having these positive money beliefs where making money is an awesome thing, you'll realize that you'll find clients who also have the same beliefs as you, and you'll naturally attract and be able to close them. Trait number 2 is they just have an absolute bias for action. I have coached a lot of editors, over 300 now on a one-to-one basis. And there are some who do better with the program, and there's some who transparently do worse and they don't get fast results at all. And the reason is because some of them just have a larger latency than others when it comes to what they need to do and when they actually do it. Most editors take months for what should take weeks, weeks for what should take a day for what should take an hour, and an hour for what should take a moment. So let's give some examples so you understand how you can have this bias for action. let's say you know you should be outreaching. It's instead of saying, hey, I'll start outreaching from next week when I free up, it's saying, why not just outreach today? Because by the time I get replies, it'll be next week. Instead of saying, hey, I need you to come up with a crazy idea first and spend 5 minutes thinking about it, it's literally just in 5 seconds throwing something onto the timeline. Instead of, hey, I'm going to wait for my work shift to end and that's when I'm going to reply to the client. Hey, I've got like 5 minutes where I was going to scroll on Instagram anyways. Why not just reply to the person? Having a bias for action, what you'll realize is you quite literally can move 5, 10, 50, 100 times faster than other people just by moving things from, hey, I'm going to start at the end of the month to I'm going to start today. Because here's what's interesting. Even if you make the wrong decision, it is oftentimes faster to get started now, make a mistake and correct course rather than thinking of what the best action move is. Because by the time that you know what to do, oftentimes that opportunity has passed. For example, right now, there's a guy in our program, his name's Melvin. Melvin, you may be watching this. Dude, you're getting incredible results purely because you are taking action so much faster than most other people. Like, dude, when you jumped in, I think you had a client or two, you were charging however much, like it wasn't much. You're on a trial right now. I believe you actually closed the trial. It was for like $500 or $600 for the trial. The reason being, dude, I told you to run the outreach system. You ran it literally the same day. And then the next week's call, so around like 3 days later, you told me like, dude, I'm already getting replies. I've got this guy in the pipeline. And then the next day you were like, yeah, I closed him for the trial for 600 per video. Well, 600 for the trial. That was because you had just a bias for action. You didn't watch the entire content and then decide what platform should I use. You just said, hey, that's the first platform that's showing. I'm going to use that method. If it doesn't work, fuck it, I'll try the next one. If that doesn't work, I'll try the next one. In the same way, we have a guy. His name's Avin. Avin, he was one of the guys that went from 1K a month, so he was jumping between 1 to 6, super inconsistent income. He jumped from that to 10K a month, literally the next month. Why? He realized, and we told him, like, dude, you don't have a client problem. Like, you are working in a finance niche. These guys are paying you the numbers that you would need in order to hit your 10K a month goal. The only problem is videos are taking inconsistent numbers of days. Sometimes it takes you 2 days, sometimes 5, sometimes 3. Sometimes the client just leaves because they're not consistent themselves. So the amount of time videos are taking is inconsistent. So let's actually just solve the workflow side, implement some automations there, not just like stupid presets or shortcuts, but like real automations. And also, let's make sure that you have at least one consistent client. By solving these two things in the first month, he hit his 10K a month goal. I see it all the time where editors think that their goals will be gradual. And even you might have thought this, where it's like, hey, I'm at 2K a month now. I'm going to get to 3K a month by next month, then 4K a month by the month after, and then hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be at 10K a month. That's not how income jumps work. Usually, it's not going to be like a slow growth. That's why editors get stuck, because they think it's going to be slow growth. Because anything under 5, 10K a month is between 1 to 3 clients. So all you need is to get 1 to 3 good clients in order to hit your income goals. So why does that need to take you 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? When in reality, if you got the 3 clients in a month, you'd be there. And this is why we find that editors within the program get such fast results. Like, I coach guys, and when they tell me like, yo, I think it's going to take me this long, I literally just tell them like, dude, okay, let's actually forget about the time. What's your income goal? Okay, let's say 10K a month. Let's actually just find out what you need to do in order to hit 10K. Forget about time. Okay, I need 3 clients paying me this much per month. Okay, forget about everything else. Let's just do the inputs to get those 3 clients, because that doesn't take more or less time. You just have to do the actual action. It's X amount of outreach. You need to post this many times. And on average, we know that that gets you roughly this many clients. Let's say this percentage would actually pay you enough. And now you're at your goal. So by having a bias for action, rather than just like thinking about things or putting it off or thinking things take time when in reality they take inputs, that's what the best editors do. They think in inputs, not just time, and they have a stupid bias for action where basically as soon as they told a new piece of information, they just do it. Number 3 is they have the traits of successful people, and it sounds pretty obvious, but they actually did studies on this, where they took a ton of successful people and tried to find what a few similarities between most of them. Because for most people, they'd think, oh, they need to meditate, they need to journal, they need to XYZ because that's what successful people do. But you're going to find a lot of outliers. So what are the few things, and that's what the studies try to find, what are the few things that most of them do, like all of them pretty much do? And they found it came down to 3 things. They've got a superiority complex, meaning they fundamentally believe they're better than anyone else. They have crippling insecurity, which is kind of counterintuitive. Like, they're insecure, but the reason this works is they feel like they need to back this up. And they have incredible impulse control, meaning they're able to actually stay on track. So it's sort of like if you were a mouse, it's like you've got the cheese in front, superiority complex. You've got this thing, dream version of you that you're trying to keep up with. You've got the cat behind you, which is scaring you, the insecurity. And you've got like two, when you're bowling, like the two, when you're shit at bowling and you have like those two bars that like keep the bowling ball from like going into the gutter. You've got these two tracks that are keeping you on track. And that's when the mouse is going to run fastest. That's how you're going to become the most successful. So the most successful editors, I found, they actually have all three. They've got a superiority complex. They fundamentally believe they can be a better editor than anyone else. And am I the world's best editor? Probably not. But when I'm reaching out to a client, I fundamentally believe there is no other editor that can serve his client better than me. And even if I haven't understood the style, or like I don't know how to do the style yet, or I've never done that video, I'm going to speak with so much confidence that like I'm going to close this guy. The reason being is I know deep down that if I tried to, I could figure it out. The editors who don't have the superiority complex, where they feel like they can't handle the client, they often don't. The reason being is they have a client opportunity. They think, oh, I've never done that client work before. I've never worked with someone this big. And because they don't believe that they could actually do it, they end up messing up the client conversation or not really sure how to deal with it. They end up not working with them. And now they have this continued belief that, oh, I just don't work with this type of person. By having a superiority complex, you put yourselves in situations where you do learn the skills. Let's talk about the second trait, crippling insecurity. Once you get the job, you're like, fuck, how the hell am I going to make this good enough? And no matter how good the video is, you always feel like you've got that perfectionism where I don't think the client might like this, let's make it even better. Let's make it even better. Oh, everyone else would say it's perfect, but this little thing, I feel like someone might notice, I'm going to fix that as well. Oftentimes, people call this perfectionism, and they call it a bad thing. From my eyes, and from what I've seen all the best editors do, perfectionism is a good thing. And this might come off a bit controversial to some people, to the shit editors, but truly, I think perfectionism is a good thing. In fact, I think more editors should be perfectionists, because otherwise, how the hell are you going to improve if you don't constantly feel like there's something new you need to learn? It's genuinely having that fear that, fuck, someone might not like this. That's what gets you to make those edits as good as possible. And finally, these top tier editors, they have incredible impulse control. They're able to say, hey, I'm going to do this task. I'm going to do nothing else other than this task until it's done. Hey, I need to outreach. I could fix my portfolio. I could do this random practice edit. I could do all these things. But right now, the highest leverage task is to outreach. Therefore, I'm going to do nothing other than outreach. Now, it sounds easy to do, but in practice, what most people do is they're going on their phone, they're getting distracted, they'll randomly tweak their portfolio thinking that's what they need to do instead of the hard task. But the editors that actually make the most money are able to actually stay on track. Let me give you some more examples of these three traits being shown in real life or in editing contexts. Let's say you have the superiority complex to fundamentally believe you are worth editing for this 5 million subscriber YouTuber. Then you have the insecurity that once you close him, you're like, crap, I really need to over-deliver for this guy now. And then you have the impulse control that when you start working on the project, you actually don't get distracted and you keep working on it. Within a dating context, you've got, hey, you need to have the superiority complex to fundamentally believe that you deserve the girl you want. You need the insecurity to do what it takes for her to like you, as in whether it be making yourself be more valuable, keeping yourself in shape, keeping yourself, etc. And then you have the impulse control to actually do those things that you need to do in order to attract her, keep her, and actually keep her happy. Trait number 4 is they have an internal locus of control. There was one time I was in the college library and one of my friends from a class came up to me. She didn't study the same subject as me, she studied psychology, but randomly she hands me a piece of paper and there were 21 questions on there. Now I read these and she's telling me like, just answer the questions, she gave me a pen. But before I'm able to actually answer all the questions, I ask her, is this for psychology? And she says, yeah. And I ask, are you learning about locus of control? She's like, shit, you weren't supposed to know that. Basically, there's 21 questions where, depending on how you answer those questions, you can determine whether someone has a more internal locus of control or external locus of control. And I'll explain what that means now. Locus of control is how much do you believe that your reality is down to you versus down to external factors? For example, let's say you're late to catch the train. What do you blame it on? Do you say that, hey, it's because when I was leaving the house, my mum misplaced my shoes? Or do you say, hey, I didn't consider where my shoes were before we actually left? Like, is it your fault that you didn't check it well before in time? Or is it your mum's fault for misplacing it? In an editing context, is it the fact, did you not get the client because they ghosted you because another editor was better? Or was it because you didn't know the closing processes to actually close them properly? Or was it because you didn't follow up as much as you should have? Or was it because maybe he said no to the price? Is it because he didn't have the budget? Or was it because you didn't build enough value early in the conversation? Because the easiest thing you could do is blame an external circumstance. And the thing is, it sounds easy, like, oh, I take responsibility. I still think I take responsibility, but there's still times in my life where I find I blame something external. Oh, I missed my flight. It was because the Uber was late. Dude, I can't believe the Uber went all the way around. He cancelled my trip. I had to order the second one. That doesn't seem like it's my fault. But it is my fault that I didn't leave an hour earlier. So do you see how there's two ways you can always take a situation? No matter what the situation is, there's a version of the story where it's your fault and a version of the story where it's not. The people who have a tendency to make it their fault tend to be a lot more successful later in life. So I used to literally have this written on my wall. It's been there for the last 3 or 4 years. 100% internal locus of control. Take 100% responsibility, even if it is stupid to do so. Even the fact that, let's say I'm outside, I'm on a date, and it's raining, and we're both wet. That's still my fault. Why didn't I check the weather beforehand? Why didn't I consider that, hey, even I've got my bag anyways, why didn't I put an umbrella in there? Why didn't I bring a second hoodie for her? Like, these are things that, yes, I could blame the rain. That's not my fault, but it still is my responsibility to solve it. And if I didn't solve it, that's my fault. So the reason that we take internal locus of control is, first of all, it's always better to take responsibility. But second of all, even if something isn't your fault, let's say it's not your fault that your parents are mad at you, that they don't want you to wear it. Or let's say it's not your fault that, hey, you had to make bills and that's why you got a normal job right now. Maybe it's not your fault that you got burnt out. Hey, the client gave you too much work. That doesn't serve you. Okay, cool, that thing happened. It's outside of your control. What would you like to do about it? Because by naming and putting the blame on something external, by definition, you're saying you cannot change it. By you saying it's your fault in some sort of way, at least now you can do something about it. So that's why I take 100% responsibility on pretty much anything that happens, even if it is stupid to do so, even if there's no chance it could be your fault. Find a way to twist the story for it to be your fault, because now when it's your fault, you can actually change it or prevent it for next time. Some other examples of internal locus of control. Hey, it's because I'm in university. It's because I have a job. That's why I can't go full time. Dude, there's editors that I've helped that have gone to pass 10K a month while in college or while working another job, and then they transitioned out. Me, myself, my first 10K month was a month before I turned 18. It was during fucking exam seasons in college. I got to 10K a month during that. If I was the type of person who said, it's because of school I can't scale, obviously I wouldn't have had that happen. Oh, the client promised weekly videos and he didn't give them. That's why my income's inconsistent. You could blame the client, or it's your fault for not having the client roster where you had someone to fill them in. Oh, it's because of the algorithm, my previews aren't doing well. Or you've posted 6 in the last 6 months. Maybe it's not the algorithm. Maybe you just haven't done enough. But you cannot fix the algorithm. What you can fix is the fact that you've only done 6 posts. So that's why we always twist it to be our fault, because now we can actually do something about it. Trait 5 of these editors who make 10K a month is they understand the importance of deep work, but also open to goal work. And I explain both of them now. If you haven't heard, deep work is this ability to have long, undistracted blocks of work. And it comes from this basic understanding that these 10-second distractions, let's say I got a notification on one of my phones right now and I see that it was someone that messaged me. That might take 5 seconds for me to look at. Maybe if I open it, then it'll take me another 10 seconds to reply. If I don't check it, it only took me 5 seconds. These little distractions don't seem huge, but in terms of focus and lost productivity, they are catastrophic. In fact, it's found that every time you have like a micro distraction off the task, it takes you about 20 to 30 minutes to get back into that flow state. So it feels like you lost 10 seconds, but what you really lost is that 10 seconds plus 20 minutes of that productivity. So deep work is this understanding that we eliminate all distractions and then we work. For example, my phone right now is on Do Not Disturb, but not only Do Not Disturb, the one where literally it has no one that is even able to come through. My laptop, Do Not Disturb, no notifications. Whenever someone's screen sharing and I see notifications, I'm like, holy fuck, do you even care about your own productivity or your own goals? Because how can you let some random company or some random app, whenever it feels like it, hey, I'd like some of your attention, and you just fucking give it? It might be easy to say, oh, I don't look at these notifications, but even the fact that you looked at the notification and then decided not to look at it fully, like you didn't click into it, that is a decision on its own that takes away that 20 to 30 minutes of productivity. Now, the best editors, they understand deep work, but they also understand open to goal working. This is where, like the name suggests, you literally work until you've hit the goal. For example, let's say you need to get the cut done for this video. You might block out a 90-minute block of time in order for you to get that video done. But it might take you 3.5 hours. And maybe you don't get up to go do anything, maybe other than grabbing water or doing anything else, like taking a piss. Other than that, you basically just work until that cut is done. Or if a deadline is due, you could easily extend the deadline, or you stay up a little late at night because your dumbass procrastinated earlier. And I say that because that used to be me. So sometimes, yes, deep work is nice, but sometimes you just need to get the project done. And the best editors, they're not cute. Like sometimes you're gonna work longer hours. Sometimes you're gonna have to skip a holiday. There's so many times where I had to just keep working when I didn't want to, because now that's afforded me the life that I want. Trait number 6 is they value their time above money. And everyone likes to say this, oh, time is more important than money, but very few people actually act like it. For example, how long do you actually spend to consider buying a tool when you know it'll actually be useful for you? I had an editor jump on a coaching call one time. His client workflow, he was working with this guy consistently. There was a certain AI tool that works really well for that type of videos and that type of workflow. And he spent 3 days considering whether he should buy it or not. The tool was like $60. He gets paid $400 per video, and we calculate on average it would save him 3 hours per project if he had this AI tool. He took 3 days. I was like, dude, it's $60 a month. In that time, you would have made $1,200. So by valuing his $60 over zero, so like, yes, $60 is more valuable than zero, he was like, I can save $60, but in doing so, he lost $1,200 worth of productivity, let alone all of the compounding that would have come into place if he didn't buy the tool at all. I ultimately forced him to buy it. I was like, dude, at this point, like, please fucking buy it. It will make you so much more money. If you think it's not worth it after a month, I'll pay you back the $60. That's how confident I was in it. He did it. His workflow is so much better, and funnily enough, the client actually raised the price because he was getting videos so much faster than any other editor on the team. Same thing with automations. For example, to run the automations that I run, we need to have a Stream Deck, which is like $100 or so. Well, you don't have to, you can use the mobile version, but the physical one's much better. There's some macro software, which sometimes costs like $30, $40, $50. Not per month, just like a one-time thing. These automations genuinely save me like hours on a video. So for a video that used to take me 2-3 days, it now takes me half a day or 1 day. Is that not worth the upfront cost of a couple $100? The same thing with education. I spend between 30 to 60K a year on courses, programs, mentors, etc. I have made so much more money because I'm able to literally pull forward education, pull forward timelines. In a thing that I could have learned on my own, why not just pay someone X amount of $1,000, and now instead of me spending 2 years, I can triple my income during that time, and so 3 years of making 3 times more, you can calculate what that's worth. And number 7 of these editors that make the absolute most is they have this true fuck around and find out personality. And I found this for myself, where oftentimes my friends or my family, they see me as a bit boisterous, they see me as not uncalculated, but they think I don't think before I do things. And truthfully, they're kind of right. The reason that this is so important is because the type of person who is able to just jump into a client conversation or jump into a client opportunity before they know exactly what to do, they're the ones that do the best, but also they learn the fastest. For example, let's say you haven't played basketball before. If you want to learn basketball and become great at it, there's 2 ways you could do it. You could spend the hours, maybe even the days, learning the rules and learning how to play and analyze some NBA All-Star, whatever. Or you could buy a basketball that'll take you a few minutes, fucking Amazon Prime it or get it on Uber Eats. I think Uber Eats technically has like grocery stuff. Maybe you'd find a basketball on there, who knows. Like in the next hour, go buy a basketball, go on Google Maps, find a basketball court, and just shoot it into the hoop. Will you be good? Probably not. But you learn a lot faster than just watching tutorials. Same thing with the gym. You could try to constantly have a workout partner and say, oh, I need him to teach me or whatever. Or you could just go, fuck around in the machine, obviously go light so you don't injure yourself, and you learn how to use the machine way more than you would by just watching someone else or watching a YouTube tutorial. And with editing, the best way that you're going to learn how to edit for clients, it's not like doing practice edits or even watching videos like these, which truly I appreciate you watching this, but it's going to be by you working with clients. So whether it be you trying to get into a new niche, whether it be you working with a bigger channel than you've ever done, whether it be you learning and editing in a new style that a client wants you to do and is willing to pay you for, but you just don't know how to do, just take it on. Now, is this me saying that like, hey, you should do things that you aren't sure you should do and get people to pay you? Truthfully, yeah, it is me telling you that. Because the way you learn the new style, the way you learn to edit for a bigger channel, the way you learn the new style is by just doing it. And the best part is at the back of your mind, you can always just have, hey, if it really goes fucked up, if it really doesn't work, I can just refund him his money and refer him to a good editor. So it's like you always have at the back of your mind, like obviously it's very rare to get to that case because usually what will happen is you'll take it on and then you'll usually realize by the end of it, you'll figure it out and you've actually delivered a good video. Because at the stages of 5, 10K a month, you're no longer being paid to actually like edit and be a good editor. You have to be a good editor, but the editing part is a given. It's sort of like, you know, when you go into an Uber, they don't have to put a poster saying, hey, please don't do drugs in the back of our car, because that's a given. You know what I mean? Like they don't need to explain that part. So when you're working with the biggest YouTubers, the good at editing part is a given. Everyone's good at editing at this stage. What you're paid for is your ability to figure shit out. When the deadline's coming up and it's not, like the whole team is kind of scrambling, it's your ability to pull up your boots and just get it done within the day. It's your ability when there's a bug, instead of having to message the team and be like, hey, there's this bug that's happening, the footage isn't downloading, figure it out. If you really can't figure it out, yes, communicate and like try to get it sorted with them. But for the most part, use your initiative and figure it the fuck out. Like one of my mentors, he makes about $2 million a month. His number one lesson, and when I went through his program, it's expensive as fuck, but like the number one lesson that I took away and made me so much more money is just be resourceful. In the day of AI, where you could ask AI pretty much anything, in the day of unlimited information, and in the day of basically like information like this, you can figure it out. Like, oh, I can't do this effect. Fucking find it out. Or do trial and error until you figure it out. Or pay someone that you've seen has done that effect and be like, dude, how much would it cost for you to literally just give me that project file? How much would it cost for you to just record me a Loom? Because that Loom is like a video software where they can record a video. It's like that video might be 5 minutes long. You might have paid $300 for it. Oh, I don't want to pay $300 for a 5-minute video. But if that 5-minute video teaches you a skill, that means a new client who's paying $500 a video wants that skill. Well, yes, it's a $5 video you've paid $300 for, but it's made you a lot more money throughout your career. Another example of this is, there was a guy, he's pretty well known. He makes like really good tutorials on automations for Premiere Pro. I literally just messaged him like, yo, dude, how much would it cost for an hour of your time? I was willing to pay up to $1,000 literally just for an hour, because I know this guy has knowledge where if I can just pick up a few things, or even if he doesn't teach me it, he just points me in the right direction, that's worth it on its own, because that will make me hundreds of thousands over my life. So I was willing to pay him literally just because of that. So the best editors, they're extremely resourceful and they trust their ability to figure shit out. And the 8th trait is they're ruthless. You have no idea how much more the editors above you have sacrificed to get to where they are now. A lot of people think, hey, it's just you need to get a few clients, or hey, all I need is X, Y, Z. And while mathematically it's true, you just need this many clients at this much money at this much price, and that'll get you to your goal. But what it took to get there was often more than most people are willing to put in. For example, there are friends, even some family members, that I've had to sacrifice in order to get to where I am now. I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and I like my life. Able to travel to cool places like this. Just in the last few weeks, I've traveled to like 4 countries. I go to like 20, 30 trips a year. Not even because I have to, it's literally like, hey, if I like a place, I literally book a flight the same day. I'm able to do that shit because when I was younger, I fucking sacrificed everything. My parents wanted me to go uni. I literally told myself, hey, I don't want to go. I'm from an Asian household, so basically all my life they knew I'd be studying. I mentally told myself, hey, I would rather die/get disowned rather than go uni. I made that decision because I was willing to sacrifice my family ties over sacrificing editing and making this work. There are friends where as soon as they make a snarky remark or they don't believe in the vision or I feel like, hey, this isn't actually contributing to my goals, delete. There are times where there's been trips I've wanted to go on. For example, my family at one point went to France. This is a few years back. They booked me the ticket because the whole family was going and I had a client where I actually didn't want to lose the client. So I had to tell them, hey, I'm not actually going to be able to go. They said, why? And I said, I've got a client video and I'd rather finish that. Because to me, it was only like a $300 video. But that guy was so consistent. He was making me like $6K a month just with that one guy. So it wasn't worth losing that client by having a long break. I didn't even want to risk it. There's ways you can mitigate it. I know that now. But I didn't want to risk losing the relationship. So I just told him like, hey, the ticket's like what, $50 because I'm from the UK. I'll pay the ticket. I don't mind, but I can't go. So I had to make these sacrifices earlier in my life so that now I can actually live the lifestyle I want. I've had to spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands nearly, of dollars on coaching and programs on mentorship because now I'm able to reap the rewards from the knowledge I've gained. There's all these things where it's just mountains of pain. Like there's times I wanted to go out with friends and I wasn't able to because I had a client project. There were times where I had to have a hard conversation and like I really didn't want to have it with a client where, hey, there's a deadline due, I messed up, I didn't want to have the conversation, I wanted to put it off later where right before it's due I could tell them, hey, can I have a few minutes, but I had to take the courage to say it earlier. So there's all these little moments of pain, of focus, of you wanting to get distracted and actively saying like, yo, I'm not going to go on my phone for that 5 minutes. It's these little moments of pain that all compound. The best editors, it's like when you see someone who scaled from 0 to 10K and whatever, like you see these stories all the time, but what you don't see behind the scenes is the months, sometimes years of pain and just deep work hours and sacrifices that they made in order to get to that point. So those are the traits that I found of the 10K a month editors. These are traits I found in myself and I found had the biggest impact on me. But obviously, none of this matters if you're not able to keep your clients and stay at this 10K a month range. So you can go watch here. This video is all about maintaining clients and keeping income consistent. So go watch that video here.